right. Hi, my name is Mary Olson. I'm the Southeast Regional Coordinator of Nuclear Information and Resource Service. We're a national organization that has members in all 50 states and has been around since the year before 3 Mile Island. Founded by grassroots activists who were concerned about nuclear energy and radioactive waste policy. And I'm sitting here in Asheville, North Carolina with a concerned citizen named Victoria and another individual, her friend named Samuel, both asking me questions tonight about radioactive waste and the situation here in Asheville.
Okay, well, Mary, thank you for joining us. Tell me, what could happen in North Carolina since South Carolina volunteered to take the nation's nuclear waste back in January of this year, 2011?
Yes, the business community in South Carolina stood up before the Blue Ribbon Commission on America's Nuclear Future that was meeting in Augusta on January 7th and said that they wanted the nation's nuclear waste to come to a new program they're calling an energy park in South Carolina. How would the waste get to South Carolina? It is currently at the nation's 103 nuclear power reactors, where it has been generated for 30 to 50 years now and has been piling up with nowhere to go. There was a 20-year thought of sending it to Nevada, but that program has been canceled. And so South Carolina volunteering is pretty significant since this is the most deadly, most radioactive waste we have. So again, how would it get there? Either by boat, rail, or by truck. And it turns out that the regulations are set up so that avoiding population centers is a good idea. And the interstate highways that would go from where the nuclear power reactors are located to South Carolina would take the waste either through Atlanta or Charlotte, since most of it is north of here, and west or east in the Great Lakes and in New England. That's where the older reactors are and most of the waste is. So yes, the map behind me shows the silver ones are the existing operable reactors, the orange ones are proposed reactors, and the ones that aren't reflective, that are white, were canceled. 98 reactors were canceled and actually never went online. Don't have any waste at those sites. So we're concerned because the waste would likely come down I-26 and I-40 because of the less population in western North Carolina than either Atlanta or Charlotte. So that's one thing that could happen.
Are there any dangers in shipping it?
Well, this is the most concentrated radioactive waste that has been produced in the nuclear age. 95% of the total radioactivity in waste is in this waste. So it is really the mother lode. And it's got intense radioactivity that is like X-rays. If they were to create a shield thick enough to stop that radiation, the containers would be so big and heavy that they could not transport them. So instead, they make standards that allow a certain level of radiation to come through. And that level is really very high. Even at 6 feet away, you could get 2 chest X-rays worth of radiation in an hour from a perfect container with no accident at all.
So if you were caught in a traffic jam and you happen to be next to one of these radioactive transports, what's the risk, and is the risk the same for everyone?
Well, if you were in a car next to one of these containers, which would be on a flatbed type trailer, possibly a heavy haul depending on the size, you would be about 6 feet away. And cars today are mostly made of plastic. There's not a lot of radiation shield between you and the container, especially in the summer if you have your windows down. There's nothing between you and the container. So, you know, every radiation dose has a risk associated with it. There is no safe dose of radiation. If you were in the next lane over, you'd be about 6 feet away. If you were tied up in traffic for an hour, you would get the equivalent of 2 chest X-rays with no medical benefit. We have these medical procedures because our doctor tells us that we need them. And hopefully they tell us about the risks associated with them because there is no safe dose, including from medical X-rays. And your question of does it affect everybody the same? No. Radiation does not affect everyone the same. Children are much more vulnerable to radiation impacts. What is an impact from radiation? Radiation causes cancer. It also reduces our immune function, and it can cause other types of mutation in our DNA, which may lead to birth defects, childhood cancer, and both heritable and non-heritable mutations. Not to mention the fact that a lot of this results in really catastrophic problems, meaning inability to have a baby. Fertility problems and things like miscarriage are common in women who've had radiation exposure during pregnancy. Now, that is why, since the 1950s, we don't give x-rays to children